Hello everyone, Zelrant here, and today we're going to kind of go over Layla and my thoughts on whether or not you should pulver her within Sword of Convallaria. Now, she's not the only person I want to kind of discuss here because we also have her trinket that's coming out, and unlike Tristan, I think her trinket stands on its own versus just being her best in slot. I think it's also best in slot in other units, so I think it could be a potential that you pulver her trinket without actually pulling for her. So we'll kind of discuss that. But before we get into that, I want to just mention with regards to character reviews or overviews for Sword of Convallaria, I have found that now with doing Girls Frontline that it's going to be much easier for me to actually do the kit overview right before they're coming out, or at least before their expansion comes out. So I've gotten through all of Night Crimson's, and I'm going to plan to start going over the mages once we get to Kavare. And one reason that'll be nice is I'll be familiar and a lot more knowledgeable on the character, having just gone through them for making decisions like whether or not to pull them by doing it that way. So I have not stopped doing those. I've just I'm waiting for the game to catch up to where I was, because one problem I have is the Chinese translations make it take so much more time to go over the character that I think it's just easier to wait till we have better translations like we have on this site, that I can go over the characters from here versus the Chinese website. But yeah, I will get back into them once we get closer to it. And I want to try and get back on top of announcing a new stuff as it's announced on the CN side, like the newest characters. Like one thing I missed was when Alternates and Inanna came out. That was a huge announcement because she's so broken. And I think it'll be important for people to know when characters like her come out so they can kind of, even though it's really far in the future, you can still try and plan around them. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into Layla now. Now, I'm not going over her whole entire kit because I've already done that in the past, and I'll have a link to that in the description, as well as there are a bunch of other content creators that have used the better translations as well that can go over her. Now, what you've probably seen with a lot of other content creators is said that she is an easy skip, and the biggest reason is we know that we are getting Sophia and Kavare coming up here after her and Panama, and they're the higher priority pickups, which I will say is true. Sophia SP is really good, and Kavare is top tier in terms of your damage dealers. He is, I see everybody's gonna say must pull, but I don't feel like anything's must pull at this point because you should be more established in your count if you've been playing since the beginning at this point, and now it's just kind of building up the characters you like, but not only that, but building more vertical. And that's kind of the direction I'm going now. They have signature weapons and trinkets. Is rather than trying to get more characters, it's also about building vertical, so getting their signature weapons and trinkets, and so getting the best characters for that. And when it comes to Layla, she doesn't bring anything to the table that we kind of don't already have, even though I would say she's the second best defender in the game currently, and the only one above her to me is going to be Coco, but Coco serves a completely different function than Layla, because Layla kind of has a similarity to Momo with her alert. She can put your vulnerability 2, which is big, but I really wish this was vulnerability 3, because that would put a lot more value on her, because there's only one other unit that can do that. But then you also, the other big thing that she has that makes her unique is her leadership aura for the Night Crimson units. But it's nothing too crazy, with it only being a 12% damage increase. So none of it feels like must-haves in that capacity. I want to get a copy of her in a Lost 50-50 in the future. Like, she'll be one that I'll be really happy to get in a Lost 50-50. But she's one that I will be skipping myself because I am conserving my pulls now for Sophia as well as Kavare. Now, if you're somebody that likes her and you have a decent amount of pulls, I don't think she's going to be a bad one to pull on, though, myself. We have Panama as well, who I will go over her as when she's getting ready to come out. Panama does have a really good synergy with a farther ahead future unit, from what I understand. But to me, Layla is a higher term value to account versus Panama. So I would actually say if you're wanting to pick between those two and throw like 30 to 50 pulls towards someone, Layla is definitely a good choice for that. But if you're really low on pulls and you need to save up to try and get yourself that Kavare, or getting a Sophia and Kavare, you're definitely going to want to skip over that. Now, with that, the other thing that will be coming out is her trinket. And this I put on a different level to her, simply because I find that this has value that can be not only just for her, but other units as well. Now, we will be able to get this through like the battle pass and stuff, so I don't think you really need to pull on this unless you're really wanting to build vertical, but I just thought I'd kind of discuss it, since if you are somebody that maybe you want to skip Layla and you have tons of pulls still, this is actually a good weapon or a good trinket for someone like Simona as well. And that's because at 5 stars, you're basically with like a Simona or something, you're going to just by default have that attack and defense plus 12%, as well as getting an extra shield on top of Simona's herself. That is refreshed every 2 turns, while if you have a 3-star Simona, she refreshes her own shield every turn. I think this is just going to be great for her, but great on other units as well that are tanky in their own right, like someone like Coco, who maybe you might keep a little farther back and isn't taking tons of hits depending on your builder, or even other characters that just stay away from the fray, like maybe a Nungal or a Barrel, or someone that you can keep them in a situation where they're not going to lose the shield. So I think this trinket, if you have tons of pulls, like a ton, like maybe if you have like 200 plus, this is something that you can actually target and go for. And because it has that 5% rate, even though technically it can take up to 250 pulls to get it all the way to 5 stars, I think you can get it much quicker. And just getting like a couple copies is good enough, because you can always get a single, I believe you'll be able to get a single copy out of the shop when it comes to Tower of Adversity and all that. So just doing a couple pulls on this, to me, would be worth it, and I may end up doing it when it releases. We'll just kind of have to see. I'm still kind of making my decision on that, but yeah, overall, a great trinket, one of my favorite ones of all of the ones coming up. I think the only one that I kind of think is cooler, maybe just in terms of looks, and it has its own unique debuff, is going to be, if we actually take a look at it here, is going to be Convallaria, and that one I will be maxing for him. And that one is this Nightmare Puppet. And this one you're going to want to max if you're getting him and wanting to get his weapon, simply because it has this unique debuff that you can put on the enemies for increasing piercing damage. So, an overall great trinket there. So, but the shield, I think, is a good pickup, but you're going to want to have tons of pulls, especially if you're getting Sophia, SP, and Convallaria, and wanting to get their signature stuff as well. So I actually put her own trinket, the shield, above Layla in terms of pull value, just because I think it has a universal use within your account, and it's not going to be easy to get a maxed one through the other systems for the free-to-plays. But we'll just kind of have to see how that works out in the future. But yeah, Layla is definitely, I think, a good character. I think if you have been saving a lot and you really like the character, you're not going to go wrong if you do pull over her. And if you're going to skip a unit in the future with the Knight Crimson, I think Sophia, the Sophia SP is going to be the easier one to skip if you just like her more. And then Convallaria is the big pickup for this big damage dealer. But then we also have the Nicety, and I haven't gone over the characters yet, but I have glanced at all of their kits, as well as kind of viewed what people view them in terms of their tier lists. And I think all of the mages from the mage patch are going to be easy skips unless you like the character. And so you're going to have time. Man, my stupid computer keeps making update noises here. But you're going to have plenty of time to save up for the future really big units coming out, like Inanna, the alternate Inanna, because the alternate Inanna is going to be your next terror level pickup, where I'm going to tell everybody to pick her up when she comes out. But yeah, we'll kind of get into that once we get closer. But right now, you're going to have plenty of time to save after Convallaria is kind of where I'm getting at that. So if you have tons of pulls now, and you think you have enough to get Sophia and Convallaria, I think Layla is a good pickup. She is just not high enough priority for somebody that's really low on pulls right now and wants to save for those two, that you can pretty much have 2 patches by skipping Layla and Panama. But yeah, overall, that's just kind of my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you planning on pulling on Layla, or do you think I'm wrong in terms of her value or her trinket? And are you going to be saving for Sophia or Convallaria, or is there someone else that you're going to be targeting? But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like my content, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.